And look, James, I'm on TV.
Craig, we're already on a video podcast, goofball.
And I'm just playing with the filters a little bit here, buddy.
Oh,
Like,
oh, classic. The classic filter switching gag. There you go. He's a pig now. Oh, Craig.
arr.
And here we go.
That's outstanding. Like a farmer in his field.
We are an ecosystem of things and ideas.
I gotta think of some more big words like portmanteau and soliloquy.
My middle name is innovation, and my other middle name is paradigm shift.
Carry on, James. Carry on.
We're gonna serve up some juicy stories like a hot plate of pancakes.
All right. It's time for another edition of the Channel Futures podcast, Coffee with Craig and James. I'm the editorial director of Channel Futures, Craig Galbraith. Joining me, as always, our senior news editor,
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. James Anderson. James, how the heck are you?
Hey everyone. I'm doing well. Things are good. Life is good. When you put everything in perspective, Craig, things are good. I'm feeling like happy to be alive. What about you?
Yeah, I think part of that is because it's been such a busy couple of weeks here at the old Channel Futures, right? Of course, we're gearing up for the Channel Partners Conference and Expo in a few weeks. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yep. It's been wild, Craig. As particularly the MSP 501 that this is happening.
Hold on. You got to say that. You got to say that again. You didn't have enough enthusiasm.
The MSP 501.
Yeah. There you go. So the 501 launch, the application launched last week. We're really excited about that. It's open through the end of April, but it's a good time to start working on your application because this is the largest survey and most comprehensive survey and ranking of managed service providers worldwide. It's now in its 17th year. We want to get a huge number of applications in for this. It's so exciting this year. We've got some new things. It's going to blow you away. That's all I can say.
Greg, it's such a treasure trove of data that our analysts and consultants get to look at and leverage in the field to help many companies in the channel succeed with the knowledge they have now.
Yeah, we got that report that comes out that applicants will get to look at, led now by our research team from Omdia. This is the first full year that they've been working on that on the MSP 501. So it adds a little gravitas, if you will, to the whole project, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, the gravitas is weighty, Craig.
Hey, speaking of awards, let's talk about the one that you are hardcore into, and that's for our friends in the agent or technology advisor community. Where are we with the TA 101? I know we got the big awards at the event coming up. What do people need to know?
Yeah, Craig. So the Technology Advisor 101 has closed. We have the list of 101 names of leaders and influencers and innovators and just overall excellent ambassadors of the agent go-to-market model. We did this for the first time basically last year. And so this is our second time doing it. And this time we took peer nominations, both from last time's winners, as well as other partners, the TSDs, the suppliers, and our own editorial team. So I taking a look at the list here. I'm loving the names on here. I'm loving the depth of the names, the different companies represented, different types of TA firms. It's going to be great, Craig. We're excited to recognize those folks at a special reception in their honor, and then announce the special award winners of that list on the keynote stage.
Yeah,
so a lot of hoopla there as well.
That is awesome. Yeah, taking this awards to the next level, much like we've done with the MSP 501. So that's pretty cool.
Indeed.
So we don't have a date yet. We might by the time this podcast airs as to when the list is going to be coming out, but it will be soon. It'll be before obviously the Channel Partners Conference and Expo. So keep an eye out for that on Channel Futures, correct?
See, you want to keep those eyes laser focused.
Even if you only have you have a patch like the pirate like I
Yeah,
had
like
at the
you.
beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
Keep that other eye close on it then too. Okay, so not to mention all that, James, this is our third podcast in as many weeks. Is that crazy? I mean, that could be a record for us. I mean, well, what's gotten into us?
I love it, Craig. I mean, if you think about it, it's our second recording in one day. So I mean, we've been prolific with this.
Technically, it's not our second recording because I did not hit record the first time that we started doing this. Little insider baseball, as I like to say. So again, we're recording this on a Friday, so mistakes happen, and that's what happened the first time. James, thanks so much for letting our loyal casties know that this doesn't always go off without a hitch.
Hey, they should know we do a dry run through every time just to make sure our banter is just perfect.
Just spot on.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know, Craig. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the interviews that we're getting are just sort of falling into our laps, and that's making it easy for.
Is that why we've done more? That's probably the only reason. That's funny.
Maybe.
Well, we've had some good stuff to talk about, no doubt, including the MSP 501, which you just discussed. We got a great discussion coming up later. You're not going to be involved because of your travel travails, because I had this one earlier this week when you were probably on an airplane somewhere. We got Debbie Kane from our Omdia channel research business coming by to chat with me. She's super involved in the MSP 501 process, and excited to talk with her to get all the scoop on MSP 501 this year. So James, so let's talk about your travel travails, as it were. You were, I will congratulate you for being the first Channel Futures editor back on the road this year, at least as far as I can recall. What happened in Dallas? Let's talk about the big Intelisys event you were at.
Craig, I rubbed shoulders with Intelisys brass and Intelisys sales partners and suppliers at the Amped for Growth Dallas event. They really wanted to get the event season kicked off in a big way this year. And so I had the distinct pleasure of going to their event in the Dallas area, meeting SVP of sales, Bob Farback, and SVP of marketing, Ansley Hoke. And
there you go. There you go again, dropping names. That's what you do.
That's the channel way, Craig. Drop the names. That way people know that you know the names. It's like putting that in your pocket, just people entering the channel. That's what people in the channel do. They're like, I'm Craig Galbraith. Like they go and they say the names of the people they know. It's what they do. Well, people talk about you all the time.
Sure. Well, that sounds
but
great.
It was fun.
So just, sort of, if you want to fill the Cassies in a little bit on the problems that you had coming back. I mean, just for what's in giggles.
Well, Craig, I went with a 6:25 departure flight.
AM.
PM. And so things ended at around 4:30 at Intelisys.
And when you say ended, it's not like, so that's like 10 hours, 2 hours time difference. That sounds like an 8-hour flight. It shouldn't take that long. Oh, wait, you're James Anderson. You had to have a layover.
Yes, we do layovers. We do layovers in this business. Saves money and gives me ample time for sleeping on the plane. And, I mean, not everybody wants to fly American Airlines all the time because they're the Dallas people. But yeah, Craig, I mean, so like I basically was trying to finish my article in time for...
And now you're talking about the return flight now.
I'm talking, sorry. The flight there? The flight there was a 9 p.m. Spirit Airlines flight that I got on after the Lions game ended. And then landed in Vegas at like 3 a.m. Slept there a little bit. And then, I guess I landed at like 1 a.m. into Vegas. And then at 5 a.m. flew from Vegas to Dallas. Easy peasy. Great sleep. Got a lot of reading done. But certainly don't plan on using Spirit Airlines again. I mean, people have different opinions, but they didn't give me any water. I was so thirsty.
Yeah.
Greg?
Well, and the overnight could have contributed to your experience. But what you were talking about earlier, the return trip was actually more interesting. So You were trying to finish your story, you said.
Trying to finish
You were
my
trying
story.
to finish your story now about trying to finish your story.
Right. We're always trying to finish a story, Craig, and stories encircle other stories. It's really the human experience. But yeah, I'm just trying to get this slideshow done. And it's like events, when you're writing stories at an event, it's really on the fly. Like you're gathering sources as you go. You're like trying to like stalk people and get interviews from them. And like it's and you're transcribing the interviews you did. It's a very dynamic experience. And so I'm trying to get that done before I get in the Uber. And because I'm like, gosh, I got to finish the story and then get in the Uber. And then, Kelly McMillan was kind enough to tell me, like, you could write the story in the Uber.
Yeah.
Like,
so you did that?
I started to do that. Yeah. So I'm
okay.
like, okay, all right, I'm going to order an Uber. I went to order an Uber. Uber was coming. And I'm like, okay, I don't have my bag because I checked in my bag with the event and it's somewhere. And so I went looking for it. I found it. They helped me find it. And so I had to cancel the Uber. So that's on the expense report. Sorry. And then so
not yet, it isn't. You haven't filled yours out yet.
I had to order another Uber, and the guy that I wrote my story in the car. I just don't like. I try to be present with my Uber drivers, Craig. I want them to know that, like, if they want to engage me in conversation, that's fine. I'll talk with them. You know what I mean? But yeah, I ended up doing a story this time in the car.
But then you eventually got dropped off the wrong terminal. You said
at the wrong terminal. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is a problem. Then I got to order another Uber, which took another 15 minutes. And by the time that Uber driver, it was like 30 minutes left. And that Uber driver was like, you got this, dude. You got this. Like, I got you. Like, I believe in you. And I was like, dude, I'd given up hope, but like, I think you're right. Like, if you believe in me, I believe in me. And then I showed up at the Delta baggage check, and they're like, we're not taking your bags. Like, you're far too late. Like, there is no return for you, they said to me. But then they were awesome. They helped me with a really nice lady, helped me like not just fly standby, but like actually gave me tickets for the next 2 flights. So great customer experience. Ended up the next flight was at 7 a.m. the next morning. So I just hung out a little bit at the airport, pulled a little Tom Hanks, and just hung out. I got a lot of reading done, Craig. Got a lot of I edited the rest of my story because it was a little too hasty. So yeah, nice meditative experience in the airport. And then in the morning, flew up to Minnesota, and then flew to Seattle, and I was home.
Of course you did. So, James, I don't know if you knew. So Seattle, you're up here, right?
Yes.
Seattle area,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then Dallas, if I'm right, is about here on the map.
Precisely.
And then Minneapolis, which you flew to, Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's pretty much straight north, right? So then you did this. So I don't know if you realize that's kind of an upside down L when you could have just done this.
Could have taken the hypotenuse, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good point. It's a good point. At that point, I was held to I don't know why, Craig. I don't know why I do these things. I think it's because I wanted a 6 o'clock flight. Like, it was the earliest I could get home. I think I wanted to be home sooner. Oh, how ironic that is, Craig.
Yes, because that 8 o'clock flight that was direct from a DFW to SeaTac probably would have gotten you home sooner.
Right.
Yeah.
How man makes plans.
Yeah.
But Craig, that it wasn't too bad. It wasn't. It wasn't too bad. I was able to sleep on the plane back. Real growth experience for me. New Year's resolution. Let's try to get some more efficient flights. Let's try to be more adult-like when I'm traveling, and really be more kind to future me. Because there's a conflict. Because the me that's booking flights is like, oh, this is cheaper. This is like a better time I like. And the future me is like, why did you do this to me, past me?
Such a dichotomy.
So, yeah, it's a dichotomy. But
yeah,
that was my whole story.
All right. Well, you've already flopped on that resolution. Maybe you can turn it around. We look forward to that. I
Yeah.
assume you'll be flying direct to Vegas for the Channel Partners Conference.
Absolutely,
All
Craig.
right.
Wouldn't.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So speaking of that, the big show, right? March 11th through the 14th, we're back to the Venetian. Maybe James hit the Cassies with one more session. You've got your eye on?
Yeah, brother. Here's some low-hanging fruit for you. The first one on the agenda. This is our Canales colleague, Jay McBain, about to set the stage. From the stage, he's setting the stage, but he's on the stage. See what I did there?
I do.
And he's going to be talking about his channel outlook, opportunities on day one of this is the MSP Summit portion of the event. His goal is to identify sectors that are poised for the biggest breakthroughs and the biggest growth so that partners can focus their resources there and achieve maximum ROI, or we call in the industry ROI. It's all part of our hot data showcase where we show the data that matters the most to channel leaders.
I like that, Roy. You know, Jay is kind of the king of data, James. We've got to have him back on the podcast pretty soon. I think if he were to appear one more time, it would be the third time, which would tie a record with John Delosier for this podcast. Of course, we've been doing this podcast now for many years, so 3 appearances really isn't that much, but it'd be good to have him back. So, Jay, if you're watching, be looking for that invite. Right. Speaking of ROI, James, this podcast gives you and me really a huge ROI. Just a pure satisfaction of knowing that we've got our loyal Cassies on board.
Yep, the ROI is palpable ROI.
Absolutely.
Now, what about you, Craig? You got any sessions that caught your eye?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a handful of sessions here, James, all wrapped into one. Actually, you kind of did that in promoting the J session because that's part of the hot data lineup. I, for one, like our AI symposium. This is going to be a series of sessions, both keynotes and conference sessions that home in on what else? Artificial intelligence. Partners want to know what are some of the use cases? How can they monetize it? All questions that agents and MSPs alike have been asking. And we intend, James, to answer some of those questions. We've got speakers from Cisco, Lenovo, ConnectWise, Teleris, marketing experts that run the gamut of IT and telco vendors that are going to help you get an AI-focused practice off the ground, or if you're simply interested in learning more about the tech that you can incorporate into your business. So good stuff coming up at Channel Partners, James. We'll be talking a little bit more about it in our next podcast as well.
Oh, stacked agenda. It'll be fun. Come on over, get a piece of the mind share, Craig.
Yes.
So Craig, do we want to set up our next interview?
Yeah, let's do it. So I mentioned it earlier, Debbie Kane from our Omdia channel research business, part of our team here at Channel Futures in the greater Informatech business. She's super involved in the MSP 501 process this year. We got a big team working on it, but she is one of the people who knows the very most about it. So I thought I'd sit down with her, talk about some of the frequently asked questions that people have, talk about filling out the application, what's new with the award this year, all kinds of good stuff. We're going to do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We're ready to kick off the 2024 MSP 501 season. Excited to be doing so with Debbie Kane, Principal Consultant with the Omdia Channel Research Business, part of our Channel Futures team. Debbie, you've got to be pretty excited.
Very excited. This is a great time of year and lots of good news to share.
Yeah, you bet. We're going to do that in a minute after I thank our MSP 501 sponsor for 2024, and that is Ingram Micro. So, Debbie, the MSP 501, this is the 17th year for it. It's the world's largest and most comprehensive survey of managed service providers around the world. And each year, we're excited to name 501 companies to that list based on the applications they submit. And this is going to be another big year. So I thought maybe you could start us off by telling us a little bit about what's new for 2024.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, it's amazing to take a look at all the data that we collect. How do we, make sure that we're updating it making sure that it's covering all of the new technologies. So we do a pretty rigorous evaluation that's made up of, our board of advisors, vendors, other MSPs, industry experts, folks like yourself. So it's been an interesting process. So we came up with some, I think, pretty good additions this year, and some improvements, if you will, to make it easier, less time, and it'll help with the comprehensive part, but it'll make it easier nonetheless. So I'll just run through some of them because there's quite a few. We simplified the questionnaire, first of all. So the good news, 20% less questions. So hopefully it'll take a lot less time, but we've launched earlier, so you'll have even more time to fill it out completely. To help you with kind of organizing the data, because sometimes multiple people have to be involved in preparing and or submitting the questions, because we've got finance, you've got sales, so different folks. So what we did is we improved the structure of the questions, adding sections for finance and some of those most important questions up front, and then grouping the technology, and then by technology, all the security questions, cloud, all in together. I think in the past it was just added on to, so we feel a little bit better about the structure, and added some drop downs to make it a lot easier. And then we expanded some of our managed services offered section, so that will, some dropped off, some, were consolidated, and some just include some growth areas. Which I think will be important as we look forward. And there's a host of other additions that we have all of that formatted out in this FAQ that Ingram has sponsored for us, so that'll be available as well. And then we've got a couple of surprises.
Yeah,
maybe we should talk about.
Yeah, the Next Gen 101, right? So this
Yes.
list previously that we released each year was sort of the cutting edge companies that are offering managed services in the channel, but we've really kind of expanded that and done something a little different with that this year. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So, as you said, it started out as an opportunity to identify growth markets, growth areas for partners, which partners, seem to be driving a lot of those new technologies, but they just didn't make the ranking for the 101, but it gave us an opportunity to identify and honor them. Well, given everything that's happening and how quickly all these new technologies are really driving new opportunities within the channel, take AI, for example, that's going to affect many different technologies and many different partner types across the channel. So and routes to market, things like that are, really taking shape now. They're not just stuff we're talking about for the future, it's now. So in the same way, the Next Gen 101 has grown up, and now it is going to be its own list, its own award, its its own process. It'll have its own methodology, but it still will be based around innovative technology, growth markets, and revenue within. But the best part about it is that it's the same application, all the same data, so partners could actually make both lists by only applying once. So that will really, I think, give us not only an opportunity to recognize with it a little more structure, those 101 that are driving that new technology and innovations, but also make it easy on partners. So last thing we want to do is ask them to fill out another application. So we're really excited about that. That's actually a very new addition that we're building out now. And much like the 501, you'll have a lot of the same benefits, but they'll be specific to the Next Gen. So partners could make either list. It's not a prerequisite. So hopefully that will be a welcome addition to our portfolio.
Very cool. Extra incentive for sure, Debbie. So you mentioned those FAQs. I want to get to some of those in a minute, because there are always these questions that people have when they go through and fill out the application. But simply, I'd ask you, why would, if you were a managed service provider out there, why would you apply for the MSP 501 or the Next Gen?
Yeah, well, I feel like I've done everything in the channel except be an MSP. But having worked with many of them in the past, I can say that, well, much like the lottery, you can't win if you don't apply. And now you can apply for both with one application. But there really are some big benefits for MSPs. when you apply, you're in, it is a little bit daunting to fill out, hopefully easier this year and less time, but still getting the same amount of data. What you're actually doing is providing us with valuable data so that vendors, distributors, our analysts, yourself can better understand what it is that you need as an MSP, what's driving your business, what you might need more of, where your growth areas are. So it drives a lot of conversations, but it helps the vendors who you partner with to better understand what your needs are. And you're helping your fellow MSPs because you're providing this data collectively within the community. So that is probably one of the biggest values that you might not even think of. And then there's a host of others, because when you make the list, you could promote your business. We've got some amazing feedback from many of the MSPs who have one and how they leverage that data. It's a badge of honor, really, to help comfort levels with your clients. It's great when you're acquiring new logos or new clients, but helping you retain the customers that you do have. So that's just some of the benefits. And you can also benchmark your business based on other MSPs and peers, because you do become part of a community. So if you're looking to grow your business, you could certainly take some tips from the winners, and because it is based on growth. So those are some of the largest reasons why. And one of the things that we're doing that is also new this year is that in order to give you access to that data, what we're going to do is, for every applicant of MSP that applies, they were going to be provided a special report this year that we've never done before. Now that we have a research and consulting arm of the business, we're able to do those analyst reports. So only those that apply will be offered the opportunity to get a MSP 501 proprietary partner insight report on the MSP 501 and next gen data that we collect. And what that will do is they'll be able to take a look at those trends, what others are doing, if you have a similar type practice to another. So that'll really provide, I think, some good trends, insights, and some go-to-market strategies if they're looking to grow their business. I will say that we had a lot of feedback coming through on how other MSPs utilize the data and or the win. So there'll be more of that in the FAQ that you can find online.
I just have to say, Debbie, access to that report is a huge asset for these MSPs who are going to be applying for this list, in addition to getting on the list, which is massive in itself. But access to that report is something that we haven't had in the past, certainly to this level. So I'm pretty excited about that. You want to get to some of those FAQs here?
Yeah,
Debbie?
let's keep going.
I think one of them's always around the financial data, right?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It can be confusing, and it can also be concerning to many, and we understand that. We first of all want to say that we do not disclose your financial data in terms of specific revenues, things like that. We keep that under wraps. We do publish your growth rates because that's what the rankings are, basically, because it's based on revenues. So we want folks to feel confident that that type of data is sensitive and it's kept private. And the other side of the financials is that we do require a verification of revenue. So we make it easy. We provide a link to a form, you fill it out, and we just ask that it be verified through signature of the professional financial or a member of your executive team. So you're signing off on it, you're providing the data and verifying it through that process. So we do have those elements in place, but it is required for an application to be submitted and considered. It does have to have that financial, just a sign off that says, myself and another professional indeed says this is true. And we feel that's important, so everyone feels that it's a level playing field, if you will. Absolutely.
Now, I suppose one of the other big questions we get is the opening and closing date. February 1st. This is a little earlier this year, as I think you mentioned. We opened it February 15th last year. So the application is open now, and it will be open until April 30th. And you can, of course, access that from the Channel Futures website. We're going to have a big webinar in June, the same week that we release the 501 honorees from the list. We'll have a webinar on that Thursday where they'll get a chance to see the top 50 actually before they hit the website on Friday, and there will be insights into some of the data that you talked about as well. And we'll have our special awards. People are always interested in those. We hand those out at the big MSP 501 Gala, part of our MSP Summit event happening September 16th through the 19th this year in Atlanta. Looking forward to that.
We'll add the next gen into that as well, so it'll be even bigger. More
Absolutely.
awards.
Yeah, and as mentioned, we have that landing page dedicated on channelfutures.com with all the links, many more FAQs that we haven't gotten to today, other details you might need, including an instructional video and a prep checklist to help you prepare, complete, and submit your application. So that's all in that hub. Check it out, Channel Futures website, and we'll have it here on your screen as well, a direct link. And of course, you can always email us for assistance and questions at msp501@informa.com.
Yeah. One last thing.
Yeah.
I'll add one more thing in there.
Please do.
So if you're joining us at Channel Partners event in March in Vegas, which we hope that you do, and we are going to have an Ask the Analyst opportunity for you. So if you've got questions for our channel analyst, Van Adams, he's going to be there with office hours. So we'll be putting out some promotions for that. But one of the things he would be able to do is answer questions on the 501, or even walk you through the process, take you through what a sample report might look like. So, and there's going to be lots and lots of conversations and fellow MSPs. So we hope you can join us there.
Very cool. About the only time I ever did office hours when I was in school, I was in trouble. So this will be so that's good. Hey, Debbie, you got at least one quote from somebody who has been an MSP 501 winner in the past. I think that would be cool to pass along to people to show them the value of applying for the 501.
Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity to hear so many happy stories and positive feedback. One stood out. So I will say that, and I quote Marcial Velez from, is it Expert Tex?
Expert Tex, right? Yes.
Expert Tex. The MSP 501 isn't just a list. It's a gold star on our company's report card, showcasing our dedication to innovative solutions and top-notch client service. It goes on, but I love that. It just really, to me, it kind of says everything. And that's really that's what we want you to feel, right? We want it to feel like it is indeed a gold star. So thank 100%. You to Marcial for sharing.
Yes, thank you,
We want everyone to feel like a winner.
Absolutely. And again, you've got till April 30th, but don't delay that application, even though it's 20% less than last year and previous years. Still takes a little bit of time to go through, as you mentioned, the revenue verification, financial data, and so forth. It doesn't get completed in 5 minutes or so.
And that's why we did that prep checklist too, so that you might know. And we did add some additional instructions this year, some guidance on who should fill out what section. We don't know where it lands and whose desk it lands on, and if they are even aware of it. So we thought we'd put a little bit more effort in that. So lots more this year. Yeah,
absolutely. Debbie, thanks for your time today. Excited for the MSP 501.
Craig, how'd you feel about that interaction?
Really enjoyed the interview. Again, I'm sorry that you missed it since you were making yourself comfortable at 35,000 feet, wherever you were at the time. But it was great to catch up with Debbie, with or without you, and learning a lot about what's new with the MSP 501 this year. We got to hear earlier your comments on the TA 101. We've got a lot of awards happening here at the big old Channel Futures and Channel Partners.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. Thanks for doing that interview, Craig. Yeah, I was just comfortably wedged between two other travelers.
You were in the middle seat on top of it all.
yeah, big middle seat week for me. I am a window guy, but that did not pan out the way I would have liked. A lot of middle seating, but I'm getting the chance to really strengthen my neck muscles to be able to actually sleep sitting up. It's something we all should be able to practice. Yes, of course, it's easier to sleep against the window. We all know that because there's neck support, but those windows aren't always going to be there to support your neck. So, good for me to be able to practice sleeping sitting up and sleep, and that thing where you put the tray down and wedge yourself in so you can sleep.
That is
I don't
so
recommend.
that is so non-hygienic. You don't want to be putting your face on one of those trays. Gross me out. All right. As our colleagues here at Channel Futures would say, classic James. If you'd like to check out the archive of Coffee with Craig and James, just go about anywhere you get your podcasts. You can listen to the audio there. Of course, we're doing this thing on video, as hopefully many of you are seeing. You can catch us on Vimeo on vimeo.com, or of course, you can catch the audio and the video. Where, James?
On the flagship news site, Craig.
Yeah, remember you're supposed to like cover your face because
Yeah, I wonder if
otherwise you're
it scares. I feel
overmodulated.
like it scares people.
Well, so does the overmodulation.
The flagship news site.
That's better. Channelfutures.com. Thanks for catching us this time, everyone, and join us for our next podcast, which I believe will be the pre-show edition for the Channel Partners Conference and Expo.
Look forward to seeing you there. Oh, it's time for me to say the word of wisdom. I have one. So the shortest distance is a straight line, but because time is money, if the distance costs more, it is not actually the shortest distance.